The richest man in Rome had a problem. He wanted snow in summer, so he sent runners into the mountains, fast men, strong men, to bring it back before it melted. This was the year 54 AD. The man was Emperor Nero, and what he wanted was not just snow. He wanted the world's first frozen dessert. Honey, fruit, ice from the mountains mixed by hand. This is the untold story of ice cream. Let's go back further, long before Nero. In China during the Tang dynasty, cooks made something strange. They froze milk, they mixed in rice. They added a plant called camphor for flavor. It was cold, it was sweet, it was rare. Only the rich could taste it. This was a luxury. Luxury. Something expensive and special that most people cannot have. Example, a gold watch is a luxury. So once was a bowl of frozen milk. Getting the ice itself was hard work. Workers cut blocks of ice from frozen lakes in winter. They stored it underground in deep pits, packed with straw. This process was called a harvest. Harvest, to collect and gather something, especially at the right time of year. Example, farmers harvest wheat in autumn. Ancient workers harvested ice in winter, and both jobs fed the rich. Meanwhile, in Persia, a different frozen treat appeared. They called it falude, thin noodles frozen in rose water, sweetened with fruit syrup. Ice, sugar, flavor. The same idea, born in two places at once. Frozen desserts were not one invention. They were many small ideas growing in different corners of the world, waiting to meet. Now a legend. In the 13th century, a young explorer named Marco Polo traveled from Italy to China. He saw many strange and wonderful things, and, so the story goes, he saw frozen milk. He wrote down the recipe, a set of instructions for making a food or drink. Example, your grandmother's recipe for bread, Marco Polo's recipe for frozen milk. He carried it home to Italy. Historians still argue about how much of this story is true. But what happened next is not a legend. It is fact. Italy became obsessed. Chefs began freezing fruit juices, sugar, and cream into something new, something they called sorbetto. Smooth, cold, expensive, a sensation. Within a few generations, Italy was the frozen dessert capital of Europe. And one Italian family was about to carry that obsession somewhere far more powerful, a royal palace in France. In 1533, a 14-year-old girl left Italy forever. Her name was Catherine de' Medici. She was about to marry the future king of France. She did not travel alone. She brought her own chefs, her own recipes, her own frozen desserts.
Queste sono le ricette del re.
At the French court, nobody had tasted anything like it. Ice, in the middle of a royal feast. Sweetness, this cold, this smooth. It felt like magic. And very quickly, frozen desserts became something more than food. They became a symbol. Symbol. An object that represents a bigger idea, like power or wealth. Example, a crown is a symbol of a king's power. A bowl of ice cream in 1500s France was a symbol of it too. If you could serve frozen dessert at your table, everyone at that table understood one thing: you were rich, you were powerful, you had reached the top. Kings across Europe began to compete. Whose chefs could freeze the most extraordinary desserts? For almost 200 years, this frozen luxury stayed locked behind palace doors. Then, in Paris, someone opened the door. The year was 1686. A man named Francesco Procopio opened a cafe in Paris. He called it Café Procope, and for the first time, ordinary people, not kings, not queens, could walk in, sit down and order a frozen dessert of their own. No palace invitation required, just a few coins. These were ordinary people, ordinary, normal, not special or different from most others. Example, a king's chef was not ordinary, but the man buying a sweet treat at Café Procop, an ordinary Parisian doing something once reserved for royalty. It was one of the first steps towards something bigger, turning a royal luxury into an everyday pleasure. Then came the Industrial Revolution. Factories learned to cut and store ice faster, cheaper, in massive ice houses. Sugar refineries produced sugar at a scale no one had seen before. Frozen dessert, once reserved for emperors and kings, was now reaching ordinary kitchens, ordinary streets, ordinary families. The luxury of Rome, the recipe of Marco Polo, the symbol of Catherine de' Medici, all of it slowly became something anyone could hold in their hand. But one final piece was still missing, and it would arrive by accident on a hot day in America. The year was 1904. The place, the World's Fair in St. Louis, Missouri. Thousands of visitors walked through the fair in summer heat. Among the food stalls was a man named Ernest Hamwi. He was an immigrant. A person who moves from one country to live in another. Example, Ernest Hamwi was an immigrant from Syria, selling a thin, crispy waffle called zalabia at his store. Next to him stood an ice cream vendor. Business was good. Too good. The vendor ran out of paper dishes. He had ice cream. He had no way to serve it. Hamwi looked at his waffle. He rolled it into a cone shape. He handed it to the ice cream vendor. The vendor scooped ice cream on top. It was an accident. Accident. Something that happens unexpectedly, without being planned. Example, Hamwi did not plan to invent the ice cream cone. It was an accident, one that changed how the entire world eats dessert. Customers loved it. Word spread across the fairgrounds within hours. By the end of that summer, the ice cream cone was famous across America. No royal chef designed it. No emperor demanded it. It was built from waffles, heat, and one moment of quick thinking. 3,000 years, from snow carried down a Roman mountain, to rice and camphor in a Chinese kitchen, to rosewater noodles in Persia, to a recipe crossing continents with Marco Polo, to a French queen's dinner table, to a Parisian cafe, to a waffle rolled by accident in the American heat. One dessert, built by an empire, a queen, an immigrant, and dozens of people history barely remembers. So the next time you hold an ice cream cone melting a little in your hand, remember you are holding 3,000 years of human obsession. An emperor once sent runners into the mountains for a taste of this. Now it costs you a few coins and a short walk to the nearest store. If you enjoyed this hidden history, subscribe for more untold stories, because history is full of surprises.